All right, folks, here we go. It is time to do the full moon in Pisces video, and here it is. So we have a full moon in Pisces. This is an interesting full moon. So we have the sun. Well, let's just go in sequence. We have Mars, the sun, Mercury and Venus in Virgo, and we have the moon. Well, at the time of the full moon, we'll have Neptune and the moon. We have the moon there already. We have Neptune and the moon in Pisces. Okay, so we've got the sun, Mars, Mercury, and Venus in Virgo. And of course, opposing the sun, we've got the moon, which is what creates the full moon, and in Pisces, along with the planet Neptune. So 4 planets in Virgo, the moon and Neptune in Pisces. The usual rules related to the full moon apply, which is that something comes to culmination, something is revealed, something comes to an emotional boil. Generally speaking, there's greater intensity around the full moon. However, this may be felt, whether it's a tantrum or a meltdown or lack of sleep, greater stress, greater tension, greater worry, things coming to a head. It can also be something positive. A contract comes through, or something desired comes through, or something reaches completion, something reaches culmination, a job offer, something is revealed, something becomes clearer, some murkiness is revealed. All those rules that I've talked about in a ton of previous videos apply. It is a full moon. We had a new moon on August the 31st in Virgo. The moon has now gone around and is now opposite the sun in Virgo in Pisces, leading to some sort of a culmination or intensity. And then now, after this full moon occurs, tomorrow at 9:33 p.m. Pacific, the moon is going to start decreasing in visibility until we get to the next new moon, which is going to be in Libra. So observe and see whether the past 72 hours has brought its own kind of intensity. However this may be felt. For some people it's going to be more quiet, for some people it's going to be more emotional, for some people it might even be positive. People who've been following my videos have been following new moon and full moon videos, so I'm not going to spend more time than this on what full moons feel like. I'm just going to let you experience it. Typically, I will say that messages related to a full moon start to come in about 72 hours before and can come in 24 hours later. And the full moon, the new moon that happens, like it happened on August the 31st, creates and starts a 28-day cycle. So that new moon sets into motion, or is around for, is current for the 2 weeks following, the 4 weeks following that new moon. With the full moon, we really say that those energies are operating for another couple of weeks. By the time we get to the new moon in Libra, that is a whole new reset. So the full moon, 72 hours before the full moon, 24 hours after the full moon, watch for full moon-like things to come to a head, or to bring some clarity, or for something to come to completion, or to react to something, or have feelings for something, intuition. It's a full moon. Clarity. And whatever it is that this full moon is around, chances are that we're going to be dealing with it energetically in some way, shape, or form for the next couple of weeks as we wrap up the new moon cycle that started on August the 31st and this full moon cycle over the next 2 weeks. Okay, so that's full moon basics. We've already discussed the astrological layout of this full moon. 4 planets in Virgo, 2 in Pisces. This is going to be an interesting full moon. As we discussed yesterday, the full moon is on the polarity of probably the most clenched sign of all, Virgo, the most controlling sign of all. Not controlling in terms of relationships necessarily, not controlling as in dictatorial and megalomaniacal, controlling as in more towards OCD, more towards organization, more towards managing things, more towards getting things done, more towards actually executing and taking care of things, and making things happen on a real-time space reality plane. Cooking the food, cleaning the apartment, doing your work, making sure your work is done well. More things to do than is time in the day. Taking care of yourself, taking care of others. Very real, very practical, very grounded, very earthy. Using the intellect, the mind, to process what needs to be done, and then using the mind and communication and our organizational and cognitive abilities to manage our day-to-day lives. Virgo, control, management, execution. I did a video on the sun in Virgo yesterday and titled it Execution. The full moon is in the least clenched sign of them all, Pisces, which is all about relinquishing control and not being controlling at all, and being in a space arguably of attracting, but in echt Piscean mode, you may not even have the energy to care enough to attract, because Pisces deals with another kind of reality altogether. One could argue that it deals with a real reality, but when you have to take care of your environment and feed yourself and sleep and take care of your illnesses and take care of your work, it's hard to argue that the real reality that Pisces is talking about is really all that interesting and important. We have incarnated in human form, we are here, and we've got to take care of certain things if we want to remain happy, balanced, and healthy. So the fact that Pisces is constantly dealing with a reality that is really surrounded by the fact that none of this crap is real, and we're really visitors here, and anything that needs to be managed and controlled is really largely irrelevant, and is all a game, and anything you own and anything that needs to be maintained is not yours to start with, and any chasing and managing and control, what do you manage, that kind of who are we really, and we're just visiting here, so why make all the effort kind of philosophy has its place without a doubt and is the greater truth, but doesn't need to be exaggerated. What this means for the full moon in Pisces, though, depending on where Pisces sits in your chart, is that some people could experience this full moon as a break from the hectic execution busyness that Virgo season is bringing. So for the past 48 hours, next 48 hours, rather for the 72 hours before the full moon and 24 hours after the full moon, some people may actually experience a relatively dreamy full moon, listening to music, escaping, letting things dissolve, letting things go, processing, intuition on a different plane than some of the go, manage, get things done. I need to manage this, I need to get this done, what are my goals, that kind of energy. Now, as I said, what I just said depends on where Pisces is in your chart. If Pisces is in the 6th house of your chart, which is a busy execution house in the chart, or it's in the 3rd house, or if it's in one of the busier, more engaged parts of the chart, then I'm not sure that that's how you're going to be feeling it. You could feel it if you have Virgo in the 12th house and Pisces in the 6th house. The exact opposite of what I said applies, right? In the middle of 12th house season, and this is what I'm saying now is for astrology buffs, in the middle of 12th house season, you have a full moon in the 6th house. So actually around this time might be a time when you need to engage and be really busy at what is normally at this time of the year a relatively dreamy time for you. So, but for those people who might be experiencing an unusually dreamy or dissolving or need to relax or need to put my feet up kind of full moon, which is ironic or anachronistic, just understand that it just has to do with the fact that the moon is in Pisces. And so the moon is here to remind us that there are things that while the energy of execution and taking care of things and achievement is very much in the air, there are certain things that do need to be released and sacrificed. And indeed, everything ultimately will need to be sacrificed. Hard to argue with that. Okay. Now, the reason why this is a really interesting full moon is that there are 4 transits occurring around the full moon that are really fascinating and important. And as I've said before, when a lunation occurs, a new moon or a full moon, it somehow codes or traps the energy or takes on the energy of key transits that are occurring around it. It illuminates them, it takes a snapshot, and those things energetically kind of become encoded into what a new moon or a full moon are about. Specifically, we have 4 things going on at around the time of this full moon that feel important to me. On the day of the full moon, before the full moon, but on the day of the full moon, tomorrow on the 13th, Mercury and Venus come together in Virgo. They're not exactly opposite or even within 5 degrees of the full moon in terms of opposition. That's something that I look for. But they are in Virgo. They are opposite the full moon, technically, and they come together. Mars, which is also opposite the full moon, technically, insofar as it is in Virgo, and opposes Neptune. So if we've got, and when I say opposes, pretty much almost exactly opposes. So we're not talking within 5 degrees. At the time of this full moon, we've got the sun and the moon, sun in Virgo, moon in Virgo opposing each other, Mars in Virgo, Neptune in Pisces opposing each other. So we've got 2 planets in Virgo and 2 planets in Pisces opposing each other. And you've got the 2 other planets in Virgo coming together. I will explain. And then we've got 2 other transits that are long-term ongoing transits that are also on their way to becoming precise and cannot be ignored. Jupiter in Sagittarius squaring Neptune in Pisces. Neptune figures largely in this particular lunation, and it's interesting because Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, where the full moon is occurring. So hard to ignore. And the other thing is, of course, is that Saturn and the South Node come together in the cup within 48 hours of the full moon. And this is an ongoing transit. The eclipses of release and the planet of discipline, reality, building foundations come together yet again. I'm not going to say that this is going to be a necessarily loud or explosive full moon for everybody, but I do think that it is going to be a powerful and unmistakable one, possibly in a relatively quiet way. There's something earth-shaking about this full moon. There is a rumble. And it's not just a tremor. It is a rumble. Let's go through these 4 transits really quickly. Mercury is the planet of communication. Venus is the planet of love, relationships, contracts, relationships, art, beauty, luxury, and money. The planet of communication comes together with the planet of relationships, money, art. As you head towards this full moon over the past 72 hours, have you received some sort of communication, a phone call, something in writing that is critically important or seems important from the perspective of relationships, money, or artistic activities? But it's really relationships and monies that I'm most interested in. Artistic opportunities could also be there. I have to, or beautiful things, luxuries. I would say spend some time reflecting on key communications that have come through to you, and there will be communications. So someone may have done something, or another party may have achieved something, or another party may have taken some action, but to you, news of this or information related to this will come through communication. Okay? Communications related to love, relationships, contracts, money, artistic activities as you head towards this full moon. Number 1. Number 2, Mars, the planet of action, drive, sexuality, but really more of an action of a planet of getting things done, doing things, executing, going after what it is that you want, and making things happen. External action opposes Neptune. Mars is strong in Virgo. Neptune is powerful in Pisces. And Neptune is the ultimate non-action planet. Neptune is about mysticism and imagination and letting go. And as I said, recognizing that everything ultimately is a sacrifice. So holding on to anything and going after anything is just stupid. That's sort of Neptune's philosophy. But there's a lot to be gained from Neptunian relaxation, imagination, music. Music could feature strongly for some people around this Pisces full moon. Are you listening to more music? Are you getting lost in music? That kind of getting lost in that kind of hazy relaxation, letting things go or not obsessing. Very Neptunian, very Piscean. Okay. The planet of action opposes the planet of sacrifice. Are you being called upon to take action around something where you feel like you need to protect something that you might lose? Are you ready to let go of certain things, or are you going to put up a fight for them? Whatever it is that you're choosing to put up a fight for may be related to wherever Virgo is in your chart, and may be related to whatever this communication is that is coming in regarding something related to relationships or money or artistic activities or luxuries and beautiful things. Okay, so those are 2 transits we've covered. Mercury and Venus come together, communication about relationships, money, etc. And the planet of action and drive, the male planet of going after and getting whatever it is that you want, opposes Neptune at getting close to this full moon. So the question is protecting one's boundaries, because Neptune is all about wherever I am, I'm going to dissolve these boundaries. I'm going to let it all go. I'm going to create an air of sacrifice, protecting one's boundaries. Making decisions with regard to what it is that you're going to let go of and sacrifice, and what it is that you're going to put up a fight about. And you may decide to put up a fight, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I'm not going to say that you're going to lose. I'm not. Neptune is pretty powerful where it's at, but at the same time, so is Mars. There's something here, there's a balance here that probably needs to be struck. Be careful of, sometimes the sacrifice on an earthly plane comes because people are being deceitful and taking things from us. So you're going to have to hogwash, gaslighting, smoke and mirrors, very Neptunian, getting taken in by someone, lies, thievery, deceit, very Neptunian. And on a real world plane, we may not fully recognize that something here might be being played out in terms of karmic relationships that have gone on for a few lifetimes or something along those lines. So that, being hoodwinked, deceived, letting things go and joining a cult, or almost that kind of hypnotic cult, like someone is taking control over you, usurping some part, that's where the fight is. That's where you might be going, hold on a second. And as I said, thematically might be related to wherever it is that this communication is coming in with regard to relationships or money or artistic activities. One more thing about this full moon. There could be something that started in February or March of this year that is coming to culmination around this time. And it's interesting that I feel compelled to bring this up now, after talking about 2 of the transits, with 2 more transits left to go and discuss. Something that started in February or March with the new moon in Pisces, whenever that was. You may want to Google it. I'll put the date in the description area for the new moon in Pisces once I'm done processing this video later today. But something that started then comes to some sort of a peak or a culmination with this full moon in Pisces, okay? And wherever this full moon in Pisces is occurring, for people who've been following Pisces activity and know that February, March, and April was very rich in Pisces activity with Mercury being retrograde there, then there might be some sort of relationship to where Pisces sits in your chart and where this full moon is happening and where the new moon occurred in February, March, and where Mercury was retrograde there at the time, and crises that occurred in 2016 and 2017. No, late 2015 and 2016. Late 2015, 2016. 2015, 2016, crises occurred in this part of the chart. Challenging, requiring release, requiring sacrifice. So the full moon may be thematically linked, and indeed both these transits that I've mentioned, Mars opposite Neptune and to some extent the Mercury-Venus conjunction, to some extent, may go back to and be related to the eclipses that happened in 2015 and 16, late 2015 and most of 2016, especially where there was a crisis in this part of the chart. Okie dokie. Third transit, Jupiter square Neptune. Neptune again. Jupiter, planet of ending a 12 to 13 year cycle and starting another 12 to 13 year cycle, creating an ending, wiping the slate clean, creating a blessed reset, an auspicious new beginning, an auspicious reset wherever it is. Powerful in Sagittarius because it rules Sagittarius, squares or creates a tense aspect with Neptune in Pisces. Neptune, the planet of release and letting go and connecting you with spirit in this kind of hazy, letting consciousness in this hazy letting go way. The kind of consciousness that makes people go off into the mountains and give everything up and meditate and become one with consciousness and give up all their earthly ambitions. Neptune kind of has a tendency to do that. It's the most anti-material of planets, unless someone is taking or stealing those materials from you. But it ultimately has the same message, which is it's not going to bring anyone happiness or unhappiness necessarily, and you may not need whatever it is that you think you're losing. You ultimately will not need whatever it is that you think you're losing, because you're going to die and you're not taking it with you. So, very Neptunian truth. Both these planets are strong and powerful where they are, but there's something about wherever it is that Sagittarius is in your chart and a new beginning needs to be created. It's as if that new beginning can only be predicated or somehow related to this theme of sacrifice wherever Pisces is, wherever this full moon is occurring. There's a mystery here, and the mystery will continue to be solved for the rest of this year. Especially, and actually, maybe the mystery is being set up now, and then it's going to start to die out as we head to the end of this year. But somehow this ending of a 12 to 13 year cycle and the start to 12 to 13 year cycle and releasing something and creating a new beginning is directly and maybe right now somewhat painfully linked to something that needs to be sacrificed or is being sacrificed, or where there's a certain amount of deceit or letting go or dissolution or dissolving of something. I'm going to let you ponder that. Jupiter is where Sagittarius is. You want more clues on this, figure out where Sagittarius is in your chart. Neptune is where Pisces is, where this full moon is. Figure out where Pisces is in your chart. Fourth transit has been going on for a while, will continue into next year. Saturn conjuncts the South Node. The South Node indicates a place where we need to release something that we're attached to and holding on to and has become a subconscious pattern that may have once been a strength but is no longer serving us. And Saturn is going to come in and demand that for our own protection, our own boundaries, our own foundation, our own fulfillment of our potential, that we work towards releasing it. This is an ongoing cycle. The eclipses of release will start up again at Christmas this year. So somehow this is all linked to the eclipses in the first part of this year, January the 5th to July the 14th or July the 16th of this year. The eclipses in Capricorn, events that occurred around January 5th, March 5th, May the 16th, July the 16th. Saturn and the South Node are conjunct again in that part of the chart now. And these eclipses of release will start up again after Christmas of this year, December 25th, February 25th. And I'm not going to talk about but the first half of next year will also have the eclipses of release become prominent again. The eclipses of release this time around require a nose to the grindstone quality, require hard work. It's not as simple as taking an axe and letting something go. There's something about work needing to be done to actually change some patterns in relationships, and hard work, disciplined work, all related to our own potential and things that are actually good to us and good for us and help build our potential and help build our strength, but are challenging to go through. So this Pisces full moon on Friday the 13th, which doesn't happen very often, as the internet will keep telling you, I'm not that obsessed about Friday the 13th as a date. But this particular full moon, I'm not going to say that it packs a punch, but I do think that it is more important than other full moons insofar as what it is that it is illuminating and bringing to a head. It may not do it in as dramatic a manner or fashion, but it is a marker. So I would certainly pay attention to what is being revealed around the time of this full moon. It may be intuition, it may be other people slipping up and you're able to see what is going on behind the scenes if people are working behind your back or backstabbing you or working behind the scenes on something. It could be that important communications have already made their way to you over the past 48 hours or may over the next 48 hours related to relationships or money. Could be positive, could be an alert. It could be that a battle is on its way and you are having to decide what you're going to fight for and what you're going to release or what you're going to let go on. Somehow all of this is predicated to another part of your chart, the Sagittarius part of the chart, when new beginnings are occurring, but they're somehow predicated on this sacrifice. So all in all, a full, delicious menu. A bit of a rude awakening. A bit of a rude awakening. On the Virgo Pisces plane, there's something about this chart There's something about the chart of this full moon that takes me back to the crises in 2015 and 2016. And because of 4 planets in Virgo, the revelation of the full moon is a call to action. Whatever transformation occurred, started to occur, probably painful, 2015, 2016, there's a call to action and a need to determine what in very real and very grounded and very time-space reality terms needs to be protected, and what it is that is going to be sacrificed, or you're willing to be sacrificed, is going to be taken away from you. But somewhere here there's a call to action. And perhaps a need to protect one's boundaries or determine what is going to be protected or what it is that you're going to put up a fight for. And it's going to vary for each person. Where are you going to be comfortable releasing and letting go of something and walking away from it? And where is it that you're going to engage the army, metaphorically speaking? Where are you going to be willing to go and do battle? All right, on that note, if you found this useful or relevant or helpful or fascinating or interesting, feel free to share this video, talk about it, get it out there. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't subscribed already. Click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button on YouTube so you can be notified when I do more videos. My email address is going to be in the subject area once I'm done processing this video later today. You can contact me for rates, information regarding rates and readings. I also create easy to read versions of birth charts. So if you're interested in that, you can inquire about that. You can use that, whatever I send you, to follow along with my videos. And I will leave it at that. Next, I think I'm going to do a video on Mars in Virgo. But because, one more thing about this full moon. As I said, Mercury and Venus are together at the time of this full moon. And we've had 4 planets in Virgo for the past couple of weeks, pretty much. The day after the full moon, Mercury and Venus both move into Libra, leaving behind 2 planets in Virgo instead of 4. So in some ways, this full moon is kind of a final blowout as far as Virgo season is concerned. I would pay attention to whatever it is that is coming up around this full moon, guys. I really would. Mercury and Venus are in the last degree. They're coming together. They're delivering some sort of a message. Battle lines are being drawn between the real and tangible and the real and intangible. And depending on what real is important to you, and there's no judgment that I'm implying there, whether it is the real real or whether it is the unreal real, is going to help you determine what it is that you're going to fight for, what it is that you're going to let go of. And then the day after the full moon, Mercury and Venus go into Libra. And so those 2 transits come to an end in Virgo. So I think the next video is going to be Mars in Virgo, and then after that I'm going to have to do videos on Mercury in Libra and Venus in Libra. So that's on the menu. All right. See you guys soon.